Many people give up not because God has stopped working, but because they cannot see anything changing. In real life, we often believe that if something is working, we should see quick results. When we don't see progress, we assume nothing is happening. This way of thinking slowly kills hope. I have seen this in people searching for jobs, praying for healing, waiting for marriage, or trying to rebuild their lives after failure. They work hard, they pray, they hope, and then one day they say, nothing is changing, so what's the use? But just because you cannot see progress does not mean God is not at work. Think about everyday life. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to check if it is growing. If you did, you would kill it. You water it, you wait, and you trust the process. For many days, the soil looks the same. Nothing on the surface changes. But under the ground, roots are forming, strength is developing, and life is slowly growing. Our lives often work the same way. God works under the surface first, where no one can see, including us. I once met a man who lost his job suddenly. He had bills, children, and many responsibilities. Every morning he woke up with fear, wondering how he would survive. He prayed daily, sent applications, and waited. Weeks passed with no response. Friends told him to give up hope, to lower his expectations, and to accept that maybe God was not answering. But later he said something powerful. He said, during that waiting time, I learned how to trust God for daily bread. When the job finally came, it was better than the one he lost, but more importantly, his faith had grown. The delay did not destroy him, it prepared him. In real life, growth often happens quietly. A mother raising children may feel unseen and unappreciated. Day after day looks the same. No applause, no rewards, no recognition. But years later, when her children stand strong, kind, and faithful, she realizes that something powerful was happening all along. The progress was slow, but it was real. The same is true in faith. God does not always change our situation quickly, but He slowly changes us so we can handle what is coming. Many people quit just before something breaks through. A student studies for months, fails once, and then gives up, thinking they are not smart enough. A person tries to live right, falls back into old habits, and thinks God is disappointed. A couple prays for restoration, but after many arguments, they stop believing it can work. In all these situations, progress may not look perfect, but something is still moving. Every prayer matters. Every effort counts. Every small step builds strength. Sometimes the reason we don't see progress is because we are measuring the wrong things. We measure success by money, titles, or quick answers. But God often measures progress by patience, humility, and trust. A person who no longer panics like before has grown. A person who still prays even when tired has grown. A person who chooses peace instead of anger has grown. These changes may seem small, but they are signs that God is working. Real life teaches us that anything meaningful takes time. Relationships grow slowly. Healing takes time. Trust is rebuilt step by step. We understand this in daily life, but we forget it when it comes to faith. We expect instant change from God, yet we ourselves need time to grow. God's timing is not meant to frustrate us, it is meant to protect us and mature us. Not seeing progress can be painful, it can make you doubt yourself and even doubt God. But many people who stayed faithful during invisible seasons later say the same thing, I'm glad I didn't quit. Looking back, they realized that God was working in ways they did not understand at the time. The season that felt empty became the season that shaped them. So when life feels stuck and nothing seems to change, don't rush to give up. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep doing what is right. Progress is not always loud or fast. Sometimes it is quiet, slow, and hidden. But if you stay faithful, one day you will see that God was working all along, even when you could not see it. In real life, many people think success means getting what they want as fast as possible: a better job, more money, a happy relationship, or a problem-free life. When those things don't come quickly, frustration grows. People pray and ask God to change their situation, but often the situation stays the same for a long time. What many don't realize is that during that time, God may be more focused on shaping the person than changing the problem. I have seen this clearly in everyday life. A young man once told me he was praying hard for a promotion. He felt he deserved it and believed it would fix many of his problems. Months passed and nothing happened. He became angry and discouraged. But during that waiting time, he started noticing his own attitude. He learned to be patient with difficult co-workers. He learned to work honestly even when no one was watching. He learned to stay calm under pressure. When the promotion finally came, he said something simple but powerful: "If I had gotten this job earlier, I would not have handled it well." The delay changed him more than the promotion itself. In families, this happens often. Parents pray for their children to change. They want better behavior, better choices, better futures. But while they are waiting, God works on the parents too. They learn patience, self-control, and love that does not give up. Many parents later say that the struggle taught them how to love deeply and unconditionally. The problem did not change quickly, but the hearts involved became stronger. This truth shows up in relationships as well. People pray for marriage, or they pray for their marriage to improve. They want happiness and peace right away. But real relationships require growth. God often uses misunderstandings, conflicts, and waiting seasons to teach people how to listen, forgive, and grow up emotionally. A couple once shared that the hardest years of their marriage were also the years that built the strongest foundation. They did not enjoy the process, but they valued the result. In real life, we often avoid situations that stretch us. We don't like discomfort, but growth rarely happens in comfort. Athletes understand this well. Muscles grow only when they are challenged. Training hurts, but it builds strength. In the same way, life pressures can feel painful, but they develop patience, humility, and endurance. God is not trying to hurt us. He is helping us grow into people who can handle blessings without being destroyed by them. Many people want God to remove problems, but sometimes God uses those problems to teach important lessons. A person who has never faced difficulty may not develop compassion. Someone who has never struggled may not learn gratitude. Waiting seasons often teach us to rely on God instead of our own strength. They teach us to pray honestly, not just when things are good. I remember someone who went through a long period of sickness. They prayed for healing every day. While the healing took time, something else happened. They became kinder, more understanding, and more thankful for small things. They said that before the illness, they were always busy and impatient. The situation did not change quickly, but the person did. When healing finally came, they were not the same person anymore. We often measure life by achievements, but God looks at the heart. We see delays as wasted time, but God sees them as training time. We want quick solutions, but God wants lasting change. A job can be replaced, money can come and go, and situations can change overnight. But character stays with us for life. In everyday life, we know this is true. A person who learns discipline can succeed anywhere. A person who learns patience can handle stress better. A person who learns humility can grow in any environment. These qualities are often built during seasons when life feels slow or unfair. So when things are not changing the way you hoped, it does not mean God is ignoring you. It may mean He is working on something deeper. He is shaping how you think, how you respond, and how you trust. One day when the situation finally changes, you may realize that the greatest change already happened inside you. In real life, many people believe that being strong means never feeling weak. They think faith means always being confident, always having answers, and never struggling. So when weakness shows up, people feel ashamed. They hide their pain. They think something is wrong with them or that God is disappointed. But life teaches us a different lesson. Weakness is part of being human, and it does not push God away. Many times it is the very place where God steps in. I have met people who were at their lowest point and thought their life was over. One man lost his business, his savings, and his confidence all at once. He told me that he felt useless and embarrassed. He stopped meeting people because he didn't want to explain his failure. During that season, he said he prayed differently. Not fancy prayers, not long prayers, just honest ones. He would say, God, I can't do this on my own. Over time, something changed. His situation improved slowly, but his fear began to fade first. He said the moment he admitted he was weak was the moment he stopped feeling alone. In everyday life, we depend on others more than we like to admit. When a child falls, they reach for a parent. When someone is sick, they need help. When a person is learning something new, they ask questions. No one sees this as failure. It is normal. But when it comes to faith, adults often think they must handle everything alone. They think admitting weakness means they lack faith. In reality, it often means their faith is becoming real. I once spoke with a woman who struggled with anxiety for years. She prayed for peace, but the feelings did not disappear overnight. She felt guilty because she thought strong believers should not feel this way. But during her struggle, she learned to slow down, to rest, and to lean on God daily. She said, I used to rely on my own strength. Now I rely on God's. The anxiety did not vanish instantly, but her ability to face life improved. Her weakness taught her dependence. In real life, strength often grows after we admit we need help. A person who never asks for help stays limited. A person who accepts support becomes stronger. This is true in work, relationships, and personal growth. The same applies spiritually. When we stop pretending and start trusting, we open the door for God to work. Many people look strong on the outside, but are exhausted inside. They keep going because they feel they have no choice, but hidden pressure builds up. Eventually, something breaks. God does not want us to live that way. He invites us to bring our weakness to Him, not to be judged, but to be helped. I remember a time when I felt overwhelmed by responsibilities. I tried to manage everything perfectly. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, but inside, I was tired and stressed. When I finally admitted I could not do everything, I felt relief. I learned to slow down and trust God with what I could not control. Life did not suddenly become easy, but it became lighter. In real life, weakness can teach us compassion. People who have struggled understand others better. They listen more, they judge less, they know what it feels like to fall and get back up. Many of the kindest people you will ever meet are those who have been through hard seasons. Weakness also teaches humility. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything. It helps us appreciate small victories. It keeps us grounded. Without weakness, pride can grow. With weakness, gratitude grows. So when you feel tired, unsure, or broken, do not see it as the end. See it as an invitation to stop relying only on yourself and to allow God to carry what you cannot. You don't need to be strong all the time. You just need to be honest. In real life, that honesty is often where true strength begins. In real life, waiting feels like wasted time. When nothing seems to move forward, people assume they are stuck or falling behind. We live in a world that praises speed and quick results, so waiting feels uncomfortable and frustrating. Many people think that if God is not answering quickly, then nothing important is happening. But real life shows us that some of the most meaningful growth happens during slow and quiet seasons. I once met a woman who waited years for a stable job. She worked temporary work, part-time roles, and short contracts. Every time she thought something permanent was coming, it fell apart. She felt embarrassed when people asked what she was doing with her life. During that waiting time, she learned to manage money wisely, stay flexible, and trust God daily. When she finally got a stable position, she said the waiting taught her lessons she still uses every day. The waiting did not stop her life, it prepared her for it. Waiting seasons show up in many forms. A student waits to finish studies and find direction. A couple waits for children. A person waits for healing. A family waits for financial stability. In those moments, it is easy to feel like life is on pause. But in reality, life is still moving. People are learning patience, resilience, and faith without even realizing it. In everyday life, we accept waiting as part of growth. You cannot rush cooking a good meal, building a house, or growing a tree. Each step takes time. If you skip steps, the result is weak. But when it comes to personal dreams or prayers, we suddenly want everything fast. Waiting feels unfair, yet it often protects us from being unprepared. I've seen people who receive success too early struggle to handle it. They lack discipline, humility, or balance. On the other hand, people who waited often developed maturity. They knew how to handle pressure and responsibility better. Waiting taught them endurance. During waiting seasons, people often learn who they really are. When life is busy, distractions hide our fears and weaknesses. But when things slow down, we start facing ourselves. This can be uncomfortable, but it is also healing. People discover what truly matters, what needs to change, and what they can let go of. Waiting also teaches appreciation. Someone who waited long for something values it more. A person who waited for healing appreciates good days deeply. A person who waited for opportunity handles it carefully. These lessons stay long after the waiting season ends. I remember a man who waited many years for his family's situation to improve. He prayed, hoped, and stayed faithful even when things didn't change. Over time, he became calmer and more understanding. When change finally came, he said he was thankful for the waiting because it taught him how to respond with wisdom instead of anger. Waiting seasons also reveal support systems. People learn who truly stands by them. They learn to ask for help and to accept it. Pride often falls during waiting. That can feel painful, but it leads to stronger relationships. In real life, we often look back and realize that waiting was not wasted. At the time, it felt empty, but later it becomes clear that those seasons shaped values, habits, and attitudes. They prepared people for future challenges. Waiting teaches us that life is not just out reaching a destination, but about becoming someone who can handle that destination. Without waiting, people may reach goals, but lack the inner strength to sustain them. So when life feels slow and progress feels invisible, it does not mean time is being wasted. Something is forming. Skills are developing. Hearts are maturing. Understanding is growing. Waiting seasons may not feel productive, but they're often building a foundation that will last in real life, nothing valuable grows overnight. The same is true for personal growth and faith. Waiting is not a sign of failure. It is often a sign that something meaningful is being prepared. In real life, quitting often feels like the easiest option. When things get hard, when effort does not seem to pay off, when motivation disappears, people naturally want relief. They want to escape the pressure and the pain. But real faith, just like real strength, often shows up in ordinary moments when someone chooses not to quit, even when they feel empty inside. I once knew a man who woke up every morning feeling tired of life. His problems did not disappear overnight. Work was stressful, family responsibilities were heavy, and his own mind felt exhausted. There were many days he wanted to stop trying, but he said something simple that stayed with me. He said, "I don't feel strong, but I'll try one more day." That decision, repeated daily, slowly changed his life. Nothing dramatic happened at first, but over time he became stronger than he ever thought he could be. In everyday life, faith often looks very small. It is not always loud prayers or big moments. Sometimes faith is just showing up. It is getting out of bed when you don't feel like it. It is doing the right thing when no one notices. It is choosing kindness when you feel irritated. These small choices may not feel spiritual, but they are powerful. Many people think faith means feeling confident all the time, but real life teaches us that feelings come and go. There are days when motivation is high and days when it is completely gone. If faith depended on feelings, most people would give up quickly. But faith is not about how you feel. It is about what you choose to do, even when feelings are low. I have seen students who felt like quitting school because of stress and failure. They doubted themselves and felt ashamed. But the ones who stayed, even when it was hard, often say later that endurance taught them more than success ever did. The struggle shaped discipline and patience. In relationships, holding on can be even harder. Misunderstandings, disappointments, and hurt feelings can make people want to walk away. But sometimes choosing to stay and work through problems builds deeper trust. Not every relationship should continue, but many grow stronger because someone refused to quit too soon. Real life shows us that progress is rarely smooth. There are setbacks, mistakes, and pauses. People who expect perfection often quit at the first sign of trouble, but people who expect struggle are more likely to keep going. They understand that falling does not mean failing. Faith in daily life often looks like continuing to pray even when prayers feel dry. It looks like believing that effort still matters even when results are slow. It looks like trusting that something good can grow from small, consistent actions. I remember someone who tried to change unhealthy habits many times and failed repeatedly. Each failure made them feel weaker, but instead of quitting completely, they kept trying. Slowly, small changes added up. They learned that progress does not require perfection, it requires persistence. Holding on when everything feels heavy is not weakness, it is courage. It is easy to keep going when life is easy. It is hard to keep going when life is painful, but those are the moments that shape character. In real life, many success stories sound impressive when told later, but they were ordinary and difficult when lived. Behind every achievement is a season of doubt, fear, and exhaustion. The difference is that someone chose not to quit. Faith is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet and tired, but even tired faith matters. Even weak faith matters. Choosing to continue when you feel empty is still a powerful act. So when you feel like giving up, remember that holding on today may change tomorrow. You don't need to feel strong. You just need to stay. One more step, one more prayer, one more try. In real life, that is often how change begins. In real life, many people believe that once things go wrong, it means the story is over. A failure, a loss, a mistake, or a long struggle can make someone feel finished. They look at their age, their past, or their current situation, and they think, it's too late now. This kind of thinking quietly steals hope. But life itself shows us that as long as a person is still alive, the story is still being written. I once met a man who thought his best years were behind him. He had made poor choices when he was younger and carried regret for a long time. He believed those mistakes defined him. But later in life, he started helping others who were struggling in the same ways he once did. He said his past pain gave him understanding he never had before. What he thought disqualified him became the very thing that allowed him to connect with others. Life did not end when he failed. It changed direction. Everyday life gives many examples of fresh starts. People go back to school later in life. Some start businesses after years of working jobs they didn't love. Others rebuild relationships after long seasons of distance. These changes don't happen because life was perfect. They happen because someone decided not to believe it was over. Breathing is something we do without thinking, but it carries meaning. It means the heart is still beating, the body is still moving, and opportunity still exists. As long as a person is alive, learning is possible, growth is possible, change is possible. I have seen people recover from deep loss. At first, they thought they would never smile again. But slowly, day by day, they learned how to live with pain and still find purpose. Their lives did not return to the way they were before, but they discovered a new way forward. Life did not stop. It reshaped itself. In real life, people often compare themselves to others and feel behind. They think they missed their chance because someone else succeeded earlier. But everyone's timeline is different. Some people bloom early, others later. Neither is wrong. What matters is not when something happens, but that it happens at all. I remember someone who struggled for years with confidence. They felt invisible and unsure of themselves. They thought they had nothing to offer. But over time, through small steps and support, they began to see their value. They started contributing in ways they never imagined. Looking back, they realized that growth was happening even when they felt stuck. Life rarely moves in straight lines. It moves in turns, pauses, and restarts. What looks like an ending is often a transition. People who believe it is over often stop trying, but people who believe there is still time keep moving forward. In real life, people are constantly changing. Attitudes shift, priorities change, strength grows. What someone couldn't handle 5 years ago, they may handle well today. Experience adds wisdom. Pain adds understanding. Feeling finished is often a sign of exhaustion, not truth. When people are tired, everything looks final. Rest and time can change perspective. Many people who thought they were done later realized they were just worn out. The simple truth is this: if life continues, purpose can continue. A person may not know what comes next, but not knowing does not mean nothing is coming. Uncertainty does not cancel potential. So when someone feels like giving up, it helps to remember that today is not the end of the story. Mistakes do not cancel tomorrow. Loss does not remove value. Struggles do not erase worth. As long as a person wakes up each day, there is room for growth. There is room for learning. There is room for hope. Life may look different than expected, but different does not mean finished.